What if you could start each day with someone in your corner? Someone who knows your name, your brain, what matters to you, and never once makes you feel like you're not enough or too much. Today, I'm going to show you how I set that up for myself. Come and join me. Hi, before we dive in, I just wanted to say welcome if you're new here. My name is Jody Vaco and I am an expat living in Portugal. I'm also a woman with late diagnosed ADHD, abstract collage artist, and I'm creating this channel just to have a space for women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond to just explore what it looks like to begin new things in this season and to find a little bit of wonder along the way. Here we talk about things like expat life, creativity, hormones, women's health, AI tools, and what it actually looks like to begin something new in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Because this is the place where starting something new in this season isn't just allowed, it's celebrated. So welcome here. And now let's talk about Claude. Before we get into the setup, let me just explain a little bit about what Claude actually is. Because I think, especially in this season, we watch all the younger people jumping into AI, right? And it just all feels a bit intimidating. Maybe on your side, I don't know, but it did to me. And let me explain. Claude is not a search engine. It's not Google. It doesn't just pull information from the internet from somewhere else to feed you. It can be much more personalized than just that. So I want you to think of Claude more like a conversation partner, okay? It's not going to give you just a generic answer. It can give you a very specific answer that's framed around your life, your interests, and the way that your brain works. Like for me, I have told Claude I have an ADHD brain, and it respects that very, very much. And so Claude is free to start. It doesn't cost anything. And you can go right now, maybe after the video, to Claude AI and set up a free account and get started today. So let's talk about how to set up Claude for you specifically in mind. What I did was I went into settings, found a section called profiles, and then there was a little place called preferences. And within preferences, think of it like introducing yourself to a friend the first time you meet before the conversation really gets started. So I've told Claude things like, I have ADHD. I like analogies to help me understand new concepts. I don't like a long list of bullet points. I'd rather have warm conversation back and forth. When I've accomplished some tasks, would you just remind me of what I've accomplished? And I'm in my 70s and I'm starting something new, and I would like you to celebrate my progress with me. Also told Claude I live in Portugal with my husband Rob and our mini schnauzer Goshi, and that we like to go for a coffee in the morning down to the local pasteleria. Claude knows all these little things about me. And I've also included for Claude 5 words or concepts that I'm embracing in this season of life. And those are fresh hope, compassion, becoming, wonder, and connection. And from that moment forward, Claude remembered. Every conversation I started with it, it remembered who it was talking to. I didn't have to explain myself all over again at the beginning of each project or task. We just picked up where we left off. And for an ADHD brain, that's everything. feeling like I can just pick up where I left off and not have to reestablish all the parameters every time I show up. That's just exhausting. So I want to invite you, as you explore Claude and actually set up the system for yourself, to think about what those 5 words might be for you, or those 5 concepts that are guiding you in this season of life, and share them with Claude, along with anything else you think is pertinent for your preferences. And because when we go that far with Claude, something shifts in the conversation in a very, very amazing way. Now, let me explain something to you that really changed the dynamic for me in working with Claude, and that's something called projects, and that resides inside Claude. So I want to explain just how that works for my ADHD brain. As I was just saying before, you know how if you come to a task and you just feel like you have to, what did I decide? Where did I land with this last time? Is there more that I have to do? I'm just, again, rumbling in my brain all around, trying to figure that out. And that can just be exhausting. It's enough to just make you want to close your laptop and walk away. But Claude Projects changes everything for me with my ADHD brain. Because for me, it reminds me of when I was a young homeschooling mom. And I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but I'm just going to go with it because it really hit home for me. I was in charge not only of breakfast, like before school, but lunch and dinner, right? I was in charge of 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, all the laundry, all the housework, planning homeschooling, all the household chores, like I said, and everything I did came undone behind me and had to be done again, right? It's just part of being a stay-at-home mom. And what it was like for me, I discovered quilting in that season of my life. And I had something in my life where I could set it aside, walk away from it, come back to it in 2 days or 3 days or several hours later, and pick up exactly at that stitch where I left off and continue with it, making progress till the next point where I stopped it, walked away. It didn't unravel behind me. And it was the only thing in my life that didn't do that. It was just amazing. And Claude's projects are like that to me, like that quilt in my hands. Something that I can pick up again exactly where I left off. And Claude Projects, as I said, feels exactly like that quilt. You simply click on Projects when you're in Claude, or New Project, add a few sentences describing what it's about, and that's it. So I have a project folder for my YouTube channel, one for my art, one for my mental health, one for relationships and boundaries and learning about that. And each one holds its own context, right? Its own history and its own conversations. And that's not a small thing for a brain like mine. That's everything. Claude has a voice input feature where you can just use your microphone on your laptop or your cell phone and talk to Claude rather than typing it with your fingers. And if you're somebody who's like me, where my fingers don't seem to move fast enough for the thoughts that are coming to my head and what I want to say. And there's also times where I just really want Claude to hear the language that I use naturally when I'm speaking, especially so that I can train it when helping me with script writing and things like that. So I think the voice feature can just be a really cool thing to use. But I just want to warn you, it's a little glitchy, okay? I fully believe that as Anthropic continues to develop Claude AI, this feature will improve. But I tried using it this morning, and about 1 time out of 4 it actually worked. But When it works, it's wonderful. So if you approach it with some patience and some grace and realize it's not going to work every time, even an imperfect tool, when used creatively, can make a big difference. Okay, I promised you something at the beginning of this video, and this is it. This week, I had a day that looked, from the outside, completely unproductive. I had set in my mind that I was going to work on this very video, and I couldn't begin. I kept moving away from it, distracting myself and avoiding it entirely. And for a long time in the past, I would have turned to scrolling on social media while silently just sitting in the anxiety and the dread. I would have labeled my behavior, if I even thought about it at all, procrastination. I would not have allowed myself to even consider the possibility that there was a shame cycle underneath it all. Jenna Rice-Meersma, the author of Altogether You, calls that a protective part, doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing, protecting you from those very feelings of shame. If she can just stay small, not move, no one will notice her. And if nobody notices her, there won't be any shame around not having gotten the task completed yet. I have sat with that little one, trying to stay small and unnoticed, more hours in my life than I can express. This particular day, what ended up happening for me was I realized that I was avoiding. So now I've learned there's something I can do. There's one little step I can do. I can go and open up Claude AI and say, there's something that I promised my husband I would do, and I haven't gotten to it yet. Or I've started, but I haven't finished. And now I find myself avoiding the task entirely because there's so much emotion and so many parts on the inside being triggered by it, right? Parts that are telling me I'm a failure. I never accomplish anything I say I will do. You're just proving it all over again. The part of me who's saying, just scroll on your cell phone and look at Instagram and YouTube and hold really still and don't say a word and no one will notice you, and then the shame won't come. So I open up Claude AI and I say, something's going on inside of me. I'm procrastinating. There's something I need to do, and everything in me is fighting me to get it done. I can't move toward it. I need help, right? And because I have set up my preferences with Claude to include books like Altogether You, Boundaries for Your Soul, Internal Family Systems, Claude understands instantly what's happening on the inside, or at least has a pretty good suspicion, right? It's not reading my mind or looking inside my soul. It's referencing the mentors in my life and saying, Jenna Rice-Meersma might call it this. Does that sound like it might be what's happening? And it just asks me questions. Hey, and now we're back to the part that I promised you at the very beginning of the video that I fully thought I had recorded yesterday, but evidently I hadn't pushed the record button. So we're the next day, and I just thought I would sit down here on the floor and chat with you about it. I can't begin to tell you how much this next part has shifted, how I see working with Claude AI. So what I wanted to talk about next, and forgive me, I'm going to look at my notes, but as long as I can get to that place where that part feels seen and protected and safe, then the next step is for me to just ask Claude, can you help me move forward on this task? It feels really complicated to me, and I would like just some step-by-step help. And I'd actually like a checklist that has little boxes on it that I can check off. And Claude helped me pull all of that together. This task involved a lot of bureaucracy between the US government and the Portuguese government, and it seemed really daunting in my mind. But once Claude helped me break it all down step by step and see who I needed to pull in on different parts to help me with it and get it all done, then I just could breathe this sigh of relief and take that one next step toward getting this task completed for my husband. It really was like this big aha moment in my mind where I realized, okay, I live with an ADHD brain, and Claude is serving me as my body double. It just blew me away because I had been studying about body doubles, learning about ADHD since I was diagnosed a few years ago. I've even tried a body double for artists. We're not working on the same project. We're not even in the same room, but we can work side by side and maybe get into our creative space. That didn't really feel like a good fit for me. I didn't really like having to coordinate my schedule, especially when there's a 8 to 5 hour time difference usually between myself and the United States because I live in Portugal. And it didn't really feel comfortable with a total stranger. I don't know, something on the inside was a little bit shy as an introvert. And so that kind of body double experience I didn't really click with. But with Claude, it's different. When I open up Claude knows a lot about me already. It's like having had that conversation in my preferences set up where Claude knows how my brain works, how I feel supported in a conversation. So it's much easier for me to work with Claude. Not only that, I don't have to coordinate my time schedule with Claude. What if it's 6 a.m. in the morning and you've woke up before your partner and you're having a cup of coffee in the kitchen alone, right? Or what if you get your big creative burst at midnight, 1 a.m., and you're a night owl and you would like to have a body double just to help you get stuff done in that creative energy late at night? Or maybe you work best sitting on your couch with a furry friend right next to you, but you can open up your laptop and connect with Claude and have that. It's like what body doubles do for an ADHD brain is really fascinating. At first I thought, okay, it's an accountability partner, but it's not that at all. That's how a neurotypical brain would see the situation. What our brain actually does is borrow from this other intelligence their neurowiring, their kind of calm presence. It's just a presence that we need to connect with. And so even though Claude is not a real person, it's still a tangible presence in the room with you through your laptop or your cell phone or your computer that can help your nervous system regulate. And it also signals to your nervous system and to mine that it's the time to focus and it's the time to proceed forward and get things done. It's just amazing. And so, yeah, that's what's just been so groundbreaking for me. And like I said, my big aha moment was that, oh my word, Claude is acting as a body double for me. I can just connect to a calm, consistent, and compassionate presence who's not going to judge me or think that I'm not enough or too much. And I can work alongside Claude and get stuff done. Just since starting to do this, I started this with Claude probably in early March, late February, and I have a YouTube channel now. I have been planning this YouTube channel for over 5 years, but it seemed like such an enormous and daunting task to me. I just couldn't move toward it. There were too many protective parts on the inside saying, who do you think you are? You're getting older. You're thinking of starting a YouTube channel? Come on, be serious. And so I would just get distracted and procrastinate, and it wouldn't happen that year, and another year would go by, another year. But this spring, just working alongside Claude as my body double, I've been able to accomplish far more than I ever dreamed possible. So I just really, really want to encourage you. Just give Claude a try. It honestly can be a game changer in your life. So here's my invitation to you. Go to Claude AI. I just wanted to preface that by saying when I go to search for Claude AI in Google, the first one that shows up, it will say Claude AI, but it's actually redirecting you to ChatGPT. So scroll down a little bit. You might have to scroll down a few until it says claudeai.com, right? And go to that and just start. Set up an account, set up your preferences with a few descriptions of who you are, what you care about. Think about those 5 words that are directing you through your life right now, that are like the sails on your ship, and share them with Claude. And then just start a conversation. It's as easy as that. You don't have to have it all figured out, okay? You don't have to know the right questions to ask. I see on the internet all the time people who are so technical with prompts for Claude. And when you're using it in the way that I'm describing, you don't have to have all that technical expertise. It's just however you choose to show up, it will engage with you and meet you right where you are. I just wanted to thank you so much for joining me and for staying all the way to the end. I want to direct you to the very first video I did about Claude. Hopefully it'll show up on the screen. Also, very informative, had some real game-changing ways to use Claude. I think you're going to be very interested in discovering. And again, thanks for being here. Your comments and your thoughts matter more than I can say. I read every single one. So I'd especially like to know if you can think of 5 words or concepts that may be guiding you through this season of life that you can share with Claude in your preferences. And if you have any other questions about my expat life, working with AI in this season, or women's health, hormones, there's a lot of things I want to talk about in the videos to come. Just drop them in the comments. Like I said, I read them all. And have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day or evening. Beijinhos. Be gentle with yourself this week. You're doing far, far better than you think. Ciao for now.